Hello and welcome to Missouri Legislative Update. This month we bring you our program from the second floor of the Missouri State Capitol, where signs of the season decorate the state's crown jewel. In today's show, we preview the upcoming 2013 legislative session. I'm Jonathan Lorenz reporting for the Missouri House of Representatives.
And reporting for the Missouri Senate, I'm Jennifer Gapel. Missouri senators return to Jefferson City to determine who will hold various leadership positions during the first regular session of the 97th General Assembly. Senate Communications correspondent Dean Morgan takes a closer look.
Only 2 days after the November general election, Missouri senators and senators-elect were in Jefferson City to make their picks for leadership in both the majority and minority caucuses. In the end, the majority caucus would decide on Senator Tom Dempsey of St. Charles as the presumptive president pro tem. The full Senate will cast its deciding vote on this choice in January. Senator Dempsey says Missouri needs to become a leader again.
Our state faces significant challenges, and many families are struggling to make ends meet. As a state, we should aspire to be a leader in employment, in the growth of personal incomes, and in gross domestic product.
He adds big challenges need big solutions.
And BIG is an acronym for the policies that we are going to dedicate ourselves to over the next 2 years. We are going to build infrastructure, invest in education, and grow our economy by enacting meaningful reforms in several key areas.
Also elected were Senator Ron Richard of Joplin as Majority Floor Leader, Senator Mike Kehoe of Jefferson City as Assistant Majority Floor Leader, and Senator Brian Nieves of Washington as Majority Whip. Meanwhile, the Minority Caucus picked Senator Jolie Justice of Kansas City to serve as Minority Floor Leader, Senator Shalone Kiki Curls of Kansas City as Assistant Minority Floor Leader, and Senator Joseph Kevedy of St. Louis to serve as Minority Caucus Chair. Senator Justice says she hopes to find common ground with the Majority Caucus.
You know, I think I've worked in all different size caucuses. When I first came, I think we were at 13. We shot up to 14, and we've dipped to as low as 7, I think, for a little while. So I think that it'll probably be similar to what you've seen in the last 2 years. We've got 10 now out of 34 members, and so I know that we're all going to be working hard to find out where we have common ground with the Majority Caucus, and then also moving forward with our individual priorities.
She adds jobs and economic development will continue to be a top priority in 2013.
I absolutely think so. As we just watched the national elections over the last few months, it was clear that putting America back to work and putting Missourians back to work was the #1 priority, and that's absolutely what we're going to be focusing on.
When the Senate convenes on January 9th, 2013, there will be 24 majority and 10 minority party senators serving the state of Missouri. Reporting for the Missouri Senate, I'm Dean Morgan.
Prefiling legislation allows lawmakers to get a head start on the upcoming legislative session. Members of the Missouri Senate are allowed to prefile bills before the start of session. Senate Communications correspondent Brad Bayshore has more on this process and gives us a preview of some of the bills prefiled for 2013.
A bill is simply a draft of a proposed law, and senators have a chance to pre-file and have an official number assigned to their bills before the beginning of session. The pre-filing process increases the efficiency of the legislative process in several ways. It allows legislative staff more time to draft legislation. The paperwork that is necessary for a bill's official introduction, for example, gathering sponsor signatures, can be completed early. Senate leaders have more time to consider which committee a bill will be referred, and committees may establish agendas before the first week of session and begin work immediately when session begins. Pre-filing bills also helps lawmakers, staff, and the public keep track of bills before session starts. It's customary that each member of the Senate, beginning with the most senior member, pick his or her top 3 priority bills, which are then assigned a number. Senators may pre-file bills as soon as July 1st each year. Most bills are assigned to a number on December 1st of each year. Senators may also present new bills during the start of session on January 9th. And all lawmakers have until February 28th to file any type of bill. Dozens of bills in the Senate, ranging from school accreditation to creating economic growth in Missouri, have already been filed for the first regular session of the 97th General Assembly. Senate Bill 1, sponsored by Senator Scott Roop of Wentzville, would modify laws relating to workers' compensation and Missouri's Second Injury Fund. Senate Bill 62, sponsored by Senator Joseph Kevney of St. Louis, aims to increase the fine for seatbelt violations from $10 to $50. If you would like to learn more about legislation pre-filed in the Missouri Senate, visit www.senate.mo.gov. Hover over the Legislation tab at the top of the page, then click on the list of 2013 pre-filed Senate bills. Reporting for the Missouri Senate, I'm Brad Bayshore.
On January 9th, newly elected and returning lawmakers will travel to Jefferson City for the start of the 97th General Assembly. In this next story, I sit down with leaders from both sides of the aisle to discuss the upcoming legislative session. The start of the first regular session of the 97th General Assembly marks the beginning of a historic Republican advantage in the Missouri House. House Republicans now carry a 109-53 advantage over the minority party. The advantage marks the largest Republican caucus in state House history.
It is a signal to the other branches of state government that a supermajority of Missourians supports the House and our agenda. And I hope that that helps Governor Nixon want to visit with us more and negotiate with us more.
As a result of its Election Day triumph, the Republican caucus holds a veto-proof majority. The Republican Party now holds a veto-proof majority in both the House and the Senate. House Democrats start the 2013 legislative session with only 53 members, but believe they still have a job to do.
I think that it's the minority's job to hold the majority's feet to the fire. They've made a lot of promises to the state.
Following Election Day, Speaker Jones went on a statewide tour, meeting and talking with Missourians to help prepare for the upcoming session. As a result, the Speaker plans to focus on three key areas during the upcoming legislative session.
Economic development for job creation, a strong energy policy to help Missouri become more energy independent, and education funding and reform. Education's a perennial topic around here, and now more than ever, there's, I think, some momentum and impetus behind doing some big, bold measures in the education agenda.
According to the House's top Democrat, the majority and minority parties have several of the same goals for the upcoming session.
You know, we're not all that different. And if we can get people back to work, if we can start educating our children, I think that's some measure of success.
The first regular session of the 97th General Assembly begins January 9th at noon and will conclude May 17th at 6 p.m. With the start of the 2013 legislative session right around the corner, several lawmakers are calling for changes to the way politicians conduct their business. Through ethics legislation, several lawmakers hope to restore the public's trust. Since Election Day, ethics reform has been a widely discussed issue in the Missouri House. Several returning members have called for changes to a wide array of issues affecting the way politicians conduct their business. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are calling for changes to the way nonprofit political groups operate. During the past election cycle, several political groups set up nonprofit organizations in order to funnel thousands of campaign dollars to different candidates and causes while hiding the identities of its financial backers.
We need to see where all the money comes from. We need to make sure that contributions are recorded, that everyone can see who their donors are and who they're supporting and who they're backing.
If you're going to have a very transparent system, then it needs to be such. It has to be transparent across the board.
Since the repeal of campaign contribution limits in 2008, reinstating those limits has been a goal of House Democrats. While several members of the minority are calling for the reinstatement of the limits, the Speaker claims it isn't something he or his party can support.
I think the House has spoken in a pretty loud voice on that issue in the past, and I'm not really willing to revisit that. And I think that is one of those non-starters that does help hamper that entire piece of legislation.
While both sides of the aisle seem to support some kind of ethics reform package, the Speaker cautions any optimism surrounding the issue.
I hope that no one lets the perfect be the enemy of the good in this situation. This tends to be a very polarizing topic, and if we allow ourselves to become polarized, we'll look towards passing nothing versus, I think, passing a very strong new bill that will focus on transparency and accountability.
Lawmakers will return to Jefferson City on January 9th for the start of the 97th General Assembly.
In the final months of 2012, legislative committees continued their work on issues ranging from Missouri's criminal code and state employee wages to education and immigration. Senate Communications correspondent Brad Bayshore has more on these panels' progress.
This is the
Joint Interim Committee on the Missouri Criminal Code, co-chaired by Senator Jolie Justice of Kansas City, held its last meeting in early November. The panel was established to conduct a comprehensive review of the Missouri Criminal Code and consider recommendations submitted by the Missouri Bar Association. The Joint Interim Committee was also responsible for making recommendations for improving the cohesiveness, consistency, and effectiveness of the Show Me State's criminal laws.
The one thing that no one should be scared about is it does not create any new crimes and it does not decriminalize any existing crimes. So it's not going to be controversial in that sense at all. But what it does is it provides prosecutors and public defenders the tools that they need to get everything under one roof so that they can more effectively administer the sentences that they need to administer.
The committee's recommendations and findings were presented to the General Assembly in mid-November.
All right, so are we ready to get started then?
Responsible for studying and developing strategies for increasing the wages of Missouri's state employees, the Joint Interim Committee on State Employee Wages also recently met. Senator Mike Kehoe of Jefferson City says that wages in Missouri for state employees rank last in the country, and that the committee is looking into the total compensation package for all state employees to help guide the committee.
We'd like to find out where we're at in relation to our surrounding states, in relation to all 50 states, and in relation to private business, so that we can get a true ranking and kind of a baseline, if you will, of where we stand in employee compensation.
The panel must present a long-term strategic plan for increasing state employee wages to the governor, the House Budget Committee, and the Senate Appropriations Committee by January 31st, 2015. The Joint Committee on Education was another joint panel that held a meeting in November. Chaired by Senator David Pierce of Warrensburg, the committee is responsible for several education-related items, including reviewing and monitoring the progress of education in Missouri's public schools and higher education institutions, and receiving reports from the Commissioners of Education and Higher Education. Finally, the Blue Ribbon Panel on Immigration, chaired by Senator John Lamping of Ladue, rounded out the committee hearing schedule for 2012. Responsible for studying Missouri's current immigration policies and making recommendations to strengthen these laws in the Show Me State, members on the panel discussed the eligibility of public and education benefits, proof of citizenship or lawful presence for driving privileges, and the involvement of state contracts. The committee must issue a report to the Senate President Pro Tem no later than January 31st, 2013. Reporting for the Missouri Senate, I'm Brad Bayshore.
Coming up next on Missouri Legislative Update, we introduce you to the new faces joining the General Assembly in 2013. That and more after the break.
When someone abducts a child, they're not about to advertise it. But we will. Sign up at wirelessamberAlerts.org to get free Amber Alert text messages on your cell phone. Help put a child abductor out of business for good. Wireless Amber Alerts. A child is calling for help.
When you fill someone's life with hope, you wind up adding a little more to your own. Help America's youth. Be a friend. Be a mentor. Just be there.
Go to bigbrothersbigsisters.org.
Welcome back to Missouri Legislative Update. The results of Election Day held in early November include 12 new members who will take their oath of office in January to serve as Missouri state senators. In addition, Senate proposed ballot measures received Missouri voter action. Nearly half of the members who will comprise the Missouri Senate in 2013 are new to the upper chamber. However, 10 of the 12 new senators have previous experience serving as lawmakers in the Missouri House of Representatives. Senator-elect Scott Sifton of St. Louis will serve the citizens of the 1st Senatorial District, currently held by Senator Jim Lemke, also from St. Louis. District 1 includes portions of St. Louis County and St. Louis City. Senator-elect Gary Romine of Farmington will represent the 3rd District, located in eastern Missouri, in the Senate. Senator Kevin Engler, also from Farmington, currently serves the counties that make up this district. Senator Engler has been elected to serve the 116th District in the House of Representatives next year. Senator-elect Jason Holzman of Kansas City will serve the newly drawn 7th District in the Missouri Senate, which contains a southwest section of Jackson County. This district currently comprises a northwest portion of St. Louis County, represented by Senator Jane Cunningham of Chesterfield. Senator-elect Paul Loboda of Independence will represent the 11th Senatorial District, currently held by Senator Victor Callahan, also from Independence. Senator Callahan is leaving office due to term limits. District 11 comprises the northern portion of Jackson County. Senator Timothy Green of Spanish Lake is also leaving the Missouri Senate as a result of term limits. Senator-elect Gina Walsh of Bellefontaine Neighbors will take his place in the upper chamber, representing the citizens of the 13th District, which includes the northern portion of St. Louis County. Senator-elect Ryan Silvey of Kansas City will serve the citizens of the 17th Senatorial District, currently represented by term-limited Senator Luann Ridgway of Smithville. District 17 includes the southwestern part of Clay County. Senator-elect Doug Leibla of Poplar Bluff will represent the 8 counties in southeast Missouri that comprise the 25th Senatorial District. Senate Leader Robert Mayer of Dexter, who has been elected to serve as judge for the 35th Circuit Court, currently serves District 25. Senator-elect Wayne Wallingford of Cape Girardeau will take the place of Senator Jason Corral, a majority party member who also resides in Cape Girardeau. Senator Crowell is ineligible to run for re-election due to term limits. Senator-elect Wallingford will serve the 6 counties in southeast Missouri that make up District 27 in the Missouri Senate. Senator Jack Goodman of Mount Vernon is also barred from running for re-election as a result of term limits. Senator-elect David Sater of Cassville will represent the 5 counties in southwest Missouri that make up the 29th Senatorial District. District 31, vacated by Senator David Pierce of Harrisonville, who won re-election to serve the 21st Senatorial District, will be represented by Senator-elect Ed Emery of Lamar. District 31 includes 5 counties in eastern Missouri. Finally, Senator-elect Mike Cunningham of Rogersville will represent the citizens of the 33rd Senatorial District, currently served by term-limited Senator Chuck Ferguson of Caulfield. 8 counties comprise this southern senatorial district. New members elected to the upper chamber will begin their roles as state senators on January 9th. Missourians also casted their votes regarding several Senate proposed ballot measures. 2 of the 4 ballot measures that appear before voters in the November general election were prompted by legislation passed by the Missouri Senate during the 2012 legislative session. Senate Joint Resolution 51, sponsored by Senator Lemke, would have changed the nonpartisan selection process of Missouri Supreme Court and Court of Appeals judges. More than 75% of Missouri voters voted against Constitutional Amendment 3. However, voters in the Show Me State gave their approval to Proposition E by more than 60% of the vote. Prompted by Senate Bill 464, sponsored by Senator Rob Schaaf of St. Joseph, The proposition amends Missouri law to prohibit the governor or any Missouri state agency from establishing or operating state-based health insurance exchanges unless authorized by a vote of the people or by the General Assembly.
Newly elected and returning lawmakers came to Jefferson City following Election Day to elect their new leaders for the upcoming General Assembly. In this next story, we introduce those new leaders and get their thoughts on November's Election Day results. House Republicans now carry a 110 to 53 advantage over the minority party.
It takes a while to herd 110 people around the building.
The advantage marks the largest Republican caucus in State House history. Speaker Tim Jones announced John Deal as the House's new Majority Floor Leader and Jason Smith as the new Speaker Pro Tem. As a result of Election Day, House Republicans now hold a veto-proof majority. According to the Speaker, a veto-proof majority means the governor must be willing to work with House Republicans.
The governor will need to understand the importance of true, actual negotiation during the legislative process, as the checkmate that he possesses in the form of a veto is now equaled by the overwhelming numbers that we have in the House and the Senate.
On the other side of the aisle, House Democrats elected Jacob Hummel to serve as the new Minority Floor Leader and Gail McCann Beatty to serve as the new Assistant Minority Floor Leader. Despite a 53-person minority, the new Democrat leader claims the minority will still be relevant.
If you want to look at the votes, we're very much outnumbered. But I think it's our job as members of the minority to hold the majority's feet to the fire. When we see something that we think is not in the best interest of the state, I think it's our job to stand up and fight for those issues.
Lawmakers will return to the capital city on January 9th for the start of the 97th General Assembly. After the break, the Capitol comes alive with the sights and sounds of the holiday season. And we have some exciting news to share regarding the future of our program. That and more when we return on Missouri Legislative Update.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
I got no pulse. We're losing him. Shock him.
Drives it real all the time. We just had a few drinks. This can't be happening.
Are we clear? Clear.
We just buzzed.
Just buzzed? You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. He'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really?
No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shock him.
Every year, mothers lose their babies to gun crimes. You'll always be your mother's baby. So before you commit a gun crime, think about who you'll leave behind. Gun crimes hit home.
What's that? I don't know. Something I kind of made. Ooh, what's it do?
What do I do? Well, thanks for asking. I ring my bell and I like to dance. What do I do? Well, thanks for asking.
Ow! Yeah, it still needs a little work.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
For nearly 20 years, the Missouri House and Senate have provided viewers with legislative programming designed to give you an inside look at the legislative process and provide lawmakers with an opportunity to share their ideas and concerns with the public.
Missouri Legislative Update and the legislature's other educational program, Capitol Dialogue, are getting a new look for 2013. We look forward to sharing with you this new programming format, which will continue to deliver important news from the General Assembly. If you have any questions regarding anything going on in the Missouri House, you can visit our website at www.house.mo.gov. I'm Jonathan Lorenz reporting for the Missouri House of Representatives.
And if you have any questions regarding anything going on in the Missouri Senate, please visit our website at www.senate.mo.gov. There you'll find contact information for our 34 members of the upper chamber, as well as a link to the Senate's newsroom. I'm Jennifer Gable reporting for the Missouri Senate. We leave you with the sights and sounds of the 75th Annual Capitol Caroling, which includes traditional holiday numbers and other special performances.
For all of us with Missouri Legislative Update, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you again next time in the new year on Missouri Legislative Update.